Greetings fellow Planeswalkers, I'm James and welcome back to the Commander-at-Arms YouTube channel. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment in the comment section below for the algorithm, and let's get into this Old Gnawbone deck tech that I have for you. It is a 7 mana 7/7 from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, so it has flying and says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. So we're going to be wanting to swing in with the big creatures, make as many treasure tokens as possible, abuse that with some fun ways, and let's get into the deck. So we have our ramp and card draw first, as we usually do. We have 10 ways to ramp in this deck. We have Birds of Paradise is the first one. It is a 1 mana dork. We have Cultivate, 3 mana sorcery, search a library for up to 2 basic land cards. Put one on the battlefield tapped, the other one into your hand. We have Fertilid. It is 3 mana 0/0. Enter the battlefield with 2 ++1 counters on it. Has an activated ability of 1 and a green to remove a ++1 counter, and you search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped. We also have Incubation Druid. It is a 1 and a green for a 0/2 mana dork that has an adapt 3. If it gets adapted, it can then tap for 3 mana instead of 1 mana. We have Jeweled Lotus, 0-drop artifact, taps for 3 green mana in this deck because your commander is 7 mana. So you want to be getting this thing out as quick as possible so that you can keep doing what you want the deck to do, which is smash face, make more treasures, and then cast big old beaters. So we have Kadama's Reach next. It is 3 mana sorcery. And that says basically the same thing as Cultivate, search a library for 2 basic land cards, but one on the battlefield tapped, the other one goes to your hand. We have Mana Crypt, 0-drop, basically just a better Soul Ring, deals damage to you if you miss your flip, I guess. Ornithopter of Paradise is a new one from Modern Horizons 2. It is a 2 mana dork, taps for any color. We have Sanctum Godspeaker. It is 3 mana 2/2. You tap to reveal any number of creature cards with power 5 or greater from your hand. Add green mana to your mana pool for each creature card revealed this way. It's like a green creature version of Metalworker. We also have the famous Soul Ring. So it is 2 mana, taps for 2. Maybe we could have put an arcane signet in this deck. We weren't sure about it. We wanted to highlight some other cards on the channel here. So let's go to card draw and tutors. We have 9 of them. We have Garruk's Uprising. It is a 3 mana enchantment that says whenever when it ETBs and you have a creature with 4 or more power on the battlefield, you draw a card. Creatures you control have trample, and then whenever a creature with 4 or more power enters the battlefield, you draw a card. We have Green Sun Zenith. It is a X spell, so X in a green. You search all over for a green creature card with converted mana cost X or less, put on the battlefield, then shuffle Green Sun Zenith into your library. Because we have Dryad Arbor, so this is a 1 mana go and get Dryad Arbor, so it's basically like a 2-card mana dork combo there. We have Guardian Project. Guardian Project is a 4 mana enchantment. It says whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control on the battlefield or in the graveyard, you draw a card. So we're going to be doing no token strats in this deck whatsoever, so every single creature that you cast is going to draw you a card. We have Lifecast of Bestiary. It is a 3 mana artifact that says at the beginning of your upkeep you scry 1, and whenever you cast a creature spell you may pay 1 green. If you do, draw a card. We have Natural Order. This is a 2 and 2 green sorcery. As an additional cost to cast Natural Order, sacrifice a green creature, search your library for a green creature, and then put it onto the battlefield and then shuffle your library. We also have Oran Frostfang. This is a 5 mana 2/6 Snow Snake, which I think I've talked about a couple times on this channel. I love this card. It is a pet card of mine. It goes in every green deck that wants to attack because it gives all attacking creatures Death Touch, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. And you want to be drawing cards, and then when you have Old Gnawbone on the field as well, you're going to be getting a lot of treasures. So treasures and drawing cards is just more fuel and more gas and more ways to cast things, and you can see how you get into that like disgusting amount of creatures on the field that we're going to get into just after this. So we have Sylvan Library is our next green card selection card. So it is 1 and a green for an enchantment. This is at the beginning of your draw step. You may draw 2 additional cards. If you do, choose 2 cards in your hand drawn this way. For each of those cards, pay 4 life or put them back on top of your library. We have Vivian Monster's Advocate. It is a 5 mana, 3 loyalty planeswalker that says you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creatures from the top of your library. Has 2 activated abilities. The first one is +1, create a 3/3 green beast creature token and put your choice of vigilance counter, reach counter, or a trample counter on it. When you cast your next creature spell this turn, search your library for a creature card with lesser converted mana cost, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. This is a really good -2 because you can do it for 5 mana, cast something really big with Old Gnawbone in main phase 2, go get something else. And then we have Worldly Tutor as our last card. Is 1 green mana for a tutor, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it top of your library, and then shuffle. All right, so we're going to go into the removal now. So we only got 4 pieces of removal here because, I mean, you're going to be just creating a lot of treasures and just kind of overrunning the board here. Again, this deck is in version 1, so we could probably see more removal, maybe more card draw in here. We just weren't quite sure. We wanted to kind of get the deck to be kind of that mid-level range playable where everyone likes to sit, where I like to sit. So this is Beast Within, 3 mana for an instant. It says destroy target destroy target permanent. We have Force of Vigor. It is a 4 mana instant, but you can also, if it's not your turn, you can exile a green card from your hand rather than pay this mana cost, and you can destroy up to 2 target artifact and or enchantments. We have my favorite removal spell in green, Nature's Claim, destroy target artifact or enchantment that its controller gains 4 life. And then because this is a creature deck, we have Reclamation Sage, a 3 mana 2/1 shaman elf that when it ETBs, it destroys target artifact or enchantment. So if anything of yours gets removed, we have 2 recursion cards in the deck. We have Seasons Past because we have a lot of different CM seed cards. It is a 6 mana sorcery. Return any number of cards with different converted mana costs from your graveyard to your hand. Put Seasons Past on the bottom of its owner's library. We also have Timeless Witness. Because we're going to be having a lot of mana, we chose Timeless Witness over Eternal Witness because you can eternalize this one for 7 mana. So it's 4 mana 2/1. When it ETBs, you get a return target card from your graveyard to your hand, and it has Eternalize for 7. Basically, you make a token of this card, and then you can Eternalize only as a sorcery, and it becomes a 4/4 black zombie human shaman with no mana cost. So that's really cool. I love that they did that in Modern Horizons 2. We have a slight, well, I didn't say a slight, we have a 14 card +1/+1 counter strategy in the deck here. So we'll go through those now. We have Branching Evolution. It is a 3 mana enchantment. Basically, if you put 1 +1/+1 counter on it, you put double that amount. We have Kaiser Ruthless Stalker. It is a 4 mana 3/3 that basically partners with a Dimir colored commander, so we're not playing that one, but it says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. We have Doubling Season, 5 mana, basically makes double tokens, so you're gonna be making double the amount of treasure tokens and doubles the +1/+1 counter effects. We have Evolution Sage. It is a 3 mana 3/2 elf druid that when a land enters the battlefield, you proliferate. After that, we have Extruder. This is a 4 mana 4/3 Juggernaut. Has Echo 4, which means you have to pay 4 mana in your upkeep, otherwise you sacrifice it. And you can sacrifice an artifact to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Because you're going to be having so many treasure tokens and not knowing what to do with them, we decided to put in a sink for that as well. So you can either sack them for +1/+1 counters and make your creatures even bigger, so they make more treasure tokens, or you can sack them for mana to play bigger creatures to then sacrifice more to then, get bigger creatures. So this is wanting to see how many big creatures you can play on the board at once and become a really, really big threat. We're going to start that at the early game with Hardened Scales. This is a 1-drop enchantment that basically has the second half of Doubling Season. So whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters we put on a creature you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. After that, we have Jiang Yangu Wildcrafter. He's a 3 loyalty planeswalker that says each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it becomes a mana dork, and you can -1 to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. We have Colonian Hydra, the 5 mana 0/0 with trample, but it enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it, and whenever it attacks, you double the amount of +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. This is huge, and this is going to make everything else huge, then make more mana. kind of see where I'm going with this one. We have Mana Gorger Hydra as our next card. It is a 2 and a green for a 1/1 with trample that says whenever a player casts a spell, put a possible encounter on Mana Gorger Hydra. We have Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. It's a 3 mana, 3 loyalty planeswalker that has 3 activated abilities. The first one is +1. Put a 0/1 green plant creature token onto the battlefield. -2, put a possible encounter on each creature you control. And -7, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of lands you control. We're really just wanting that -2 and maybe that +1. Because that puts more creatures on the field, puts possible swing counters on them. When you have Old Gnawbone out, you're going to swing with them. So you're gonna make more treasures so you can do more things. We have Primal Vigor. This is just another doubling season effect, but it's global. So this is a 5 mana enchantment that is basically the same as doubling season. We have Rishkar Padim Renegade. It is a 3 mana 2/2 elf druid that says when it ETBs, you put a possible encounter on up to 2 target creatures, and creatures you control with a counter on it gets to be a mana dork. So if you don't want to swing with them, if you want to do even more degenerate big mana things, you can, all your creatures with possible encounters on them become mana dorks. Just have a lot of mana. This deck, you're never going to be running out of mana anytime soon. Next card is the Great Henge. This is 9 mana artifact, but it costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So this is going to be a 2-drop easily. You can tap it for 2 green and you gain 2 life, and whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a possible encounter on it and draw a card. That is just fantastic in this deck. And then the last card for our possible encounter strategy is Throne of Geth. It is a 2 mana artifact with an activated ability to tap and sacrifice an artifact to proliferate. So you're gonna be having a lot of treasures. You're gonna tap this, sacrifice a treasure, doesn't matter, and then you get to proliferate everything on your field. All right, so we've just gone through the possible encounter strategy. We're going to go through the 7 creatures in here that we weren't sure exactly where to put them, but these things are just generically good. We have Academy Manufacturer. I talked about this in the Lunas deck, but it is a 3 mana 1/3 assembly worker. Whenever you create a clue, food, or treasure token, you create one of each instead. So you're going to be getting one of those. It draws you cards, gains you life, and makes you treasure. So fantastic card for whenever you're making any of those 3 types of tokens. We have Gulta Primal Hunger. It is a 12 mana 12/12, but costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of grown creatures you control, and has trample. There's always going to be a 2-drop in this deck. We have Kamal Fist of Crosa. It's a 6-drop 3/4 legendary creature human druid. 2 activated abilities. The first one is a 1 green, and target land you control becomes a 1/1 creature until end of turn. It's still a land. And then for 5 mana, creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample until end of turn. This is just a massive pump spell. This is like the late game where you have everything on the field and you can just pump as much mana into Kamal as possible and then swing out and get that dub. So we have the new Kamal in here as well. So he is the 8-drop for a 5/5. At the beginning of combat on your turn, creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample till end of turn, and has an activated ability of 1 and a green to until end of turn, target land you control becomes a 1/1 elemental creature with vigilance, indestructible, and haste, and it's still a land. Has partner, but that is not necessary in this deck because it is part of the 99. We have Kalani Hydra. This is an 8 mana 8/8, and it costs 1 green less to cast for each green creature you control. This is just going to be a free 8/8 with trample on the field. That is going to be huge. We have Primal Crux. It is a 6 mana. It is a 6 mana 6/6 because it has Chroma, so basically has devotion. So its power and toughness is equal to the amount of devotion that you have on the field. So this is going to be a 6 mana huge, and it also has trample. And then the last card we have here is a little bit of utility. It is Yeva, Nature's Herald. It is a 4-drop 4/4 with flash, and you may cast green creatures. Green creature spells as though they had flash. So you're gonna be wanting to do everything on your opponent's turn so that you can get around that, kind of using pseudo haste, because then you can just, play them at end step, untap, swing out, win the game. All right, we have everything on the field now. Now we want ways to have nothing be touched. So we have this little section here called No Touchy. And we're gonna start that with Archetype of Endurance. It is a 8 mana 6/5 creatures you control have hexproof, and creatures your opponents control lose hexproof and can't gain hexproof. We have Asceticism. It is a 5-drop enchantment that says creatures you control can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control, and it has an activated ability to regenerate a target creature. We have Dawnglade Regent. It is 7 mana, 8/8. When it ETBs, you become the Monarch, so at the end step, you draw another card. And then as long as you are the Monarch, permanents you control have hexproof. We have Destiny Spinner. Our creature and enchantment spells can't be countered, and this one actually has a valid activated ability because target land you control becomes an XX elemental creature token with trample and haste until end of turn, where X is the number of enchantments you control, but it's still a land. So even if this just becomes a 1/1, you can then just pump it with all of your possible +1 counter strategy in this deck. It is going to be a lot of fun. We have Gaia's Herald. It is 1 and a green for a 1/1 elf. Creature spells you cast can't be countered. Because we're not playing any blue or anything, we don't really have protection on the stack, so we have to try and get that other ways. And if you can get one of these things down early and then just cast your big creatures after that, your opponents are kind of SOL on that one. So we have Guardian Augmenter. It is a 3-drop 2/2 with flash. Commander creatures you control get +2/+2, and commanders you control have hexproof. So that makes our 7/7 into a 9/9, making 9 treasures when it swings and attacks. Well, sorry, when it swings and connects. We have Heroic Intervention as our next card. It is 1 and a green for an instant, and opponents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. We have Lightning Greaves, 2-drop artifact equipment, equips for 0, equip creature gains haste and shroud. You want to be casting this before you cast your commander, so you can swing out for the first turn, get all the mana back that you just spent your commander with, and get into more things and just cast more creatures. We have Stonehoof Chieftain. It is an 8-drop 8/8 with trample and indestructible. Whenever another creature you control attacks, it gains trample and indestructible until end of turn. Basically, we're going to be having all of our creatures indestructible, flying, haste, hexproof. You're not going to be able to touch anything on our board, which is going to be the best part of this deck. After that, we have all artifacts must go. So when you're cracking those artifacts and you are putting them in the graveyard, we have Aetherworks Marvel on the field here to kind of, help you get some stuff. So it is a 4-drop legendary artifact. This is whenever a permanent you control is put into a graveyard, you gain an energy, and you can tap and pay 6 energy to look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may cast a card from among them without paying its mana cost, put the rest on the bottom of its library in a random order. This is going to rip you so many big creatures off the top of your library that you aren't going to even need the treasures that you're getting anyway. So kind of being able to get a mass reduction on your big creatures is going to be a huge threat at the table. We have Fengreen Marauder. It is a 6 mana 5/5. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may gain 5 life. Again, we might be losing some life on the crackback, but with Fengreen Marauder, we are not going to be getting rid of any of our life because we're just going to, make more mana, tap, sack, crack, do whatever we want to, put them in the battle, or put them in the graveyard. Boom, we just gained ourselves like 10, 15, 20, 30 life maybe in one turn, like quite easily. The last card in all artifacts must go is Ichthyrk Salvage Splicer. It is a 5-drop 1/1 that says when it enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token, and whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on him and a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So because we're not running that many golems, we decided that we were going to run Maskwood Nexus in the deck. It is a 4-drop artifact that say creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. And also it makes you a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token that is a changeling and everything else. So as you can see, we have lots of ways to put things on the battlefield, get them out of our deck, put them on the battlefield, attack with them, get more treasures. We have 2 mana sinks if nothing else fails. We have Duskwatch Recruiter. It is a 1 and a green for a 2/2 human warrior werewolf. Has an activated ability of 3 mana, so 2 and a green to look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, you get to transform it, but it's not relevant in this deck whatsoever. Then we have Nylea Keen-Eyed. It is a 4-drop 5/6 enchantment god with indestructible, and says as long as your devotion to green is less than 5, which it's not going to be. We literally have creatures in here that are 6 devotion or 7 devotion by themselves. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and it has an activated ability of 2 and a green to reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it into your hand, otherwise you may put it into your graveyard. And next we've got Evasion. This is the way we're going to get our creatures to kind of get through, even if they've got trample or death touch or flying, these are going to get through no matter what. So we have Bellowing Tangleworm as our first card here. It is 3 and 2 green for a 4/4 worm with Intimidate. This creature can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it, and other green creatures you control have Intimidate. We also have Champion of Lambhold. This is 1 and 2 green for a 1/1 human warrior that says creatures you control with creatures with power less than Champion of Lambhold's power can't block creatures you control. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Champion of Lambhold. So this is going to be able to be proliferated. You're going to add so many counters to this thing. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be huge. All your other creatures are going to be huge. You're going to be able to swing in with impunities, and you're never going to not get damage through. You're always going to get damage through no matter what. But again, if that doesn't work, we also have Lumbering Satyr. This is a card I didn't even know existed, but I was talking to Paul and I'm like, hey man, we need to figure out a way to give everything like blanket Forest Walk, because what's cool than Forest Walk? Nothing. So Lumbering Satyr is a 2 and 2 green for a 5/4 beast that says all creatures gain Forest Walk. Now this is your creatures and your opponent's creatures, so watch out because they can swing back at you, but as long as you are doing the more damage, you're going to be on the better side of that trade. Now, the last one we have here is Siege Behemoth. This is a behemoth of a card. It is 7 mana, 7/4 with hexproof. And that says, as long as Siege Behemoth is attacking, for each creature you control, you may have that creature assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked. That is massive. We're always going to get our damage through, and that's what we want to do so we can get more treasures and keep doing more things. And that's it. From a concept to a deck, this is our Old Gnawbone mono green Stompy deck. This is just a fantastic way to start in Commander. Our mana base is not really that relevant. A lot of them are man lands, and a lot of them are just forests. So I'm not really going to talk about those ones. We have Nyxos trying to Nyx as well in there as a saga, so we can get into some artifacts and everything. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment in the comment section below for the algorithm. If you want to support us directly, you can do that through patreon.com/commander@arms. If you want to pick up this deck or any other deck we've done, or any other sealed products or singles while still buying online and supporting your local game stores, you can do that through our TCG affiliate link, which is tcgplayer.com/commander@arms. You can find Paul and I on Twitter or Instagram at CMDR@arms as well. If you want to pick up a merch shirt, you can do that in the description below. We will have them in there as well. They're fantastic shirts. Again, I wear one every time that I record. I love it. It's super comfortable, super soft. It's a Bella canvas tee. You're going to love it as much as I love it. And I think that is everything. So with that, this has been a Commander at Arms deck tech. Peace.
See ya.